All right, so today we're going to be talking about some different negotiation strategies you can use as a seller to help you increase the amount of money you're making per order and save time negotiating with buyers that are just out to make your life a little bit harder than it probably needs to be. So in this video, I'm going to break it down into a couple strategies you can use at the phase where you're negotiating with a buyer before they actually buy. You know, a lot of the times buyers will try to run a little bit of a negotiation, usually about price, before placing an order. So I'll break down a couple of scenarios that you're probably likely to encounter before a buyer places an order and some strategies you can use to swing those conversations in your favor. I'll also talk about some strategies you can use after a buyer places an order. You know, for example, buyers that are trying to negotiate extra things to be done in revisions or asking for work to be done that they haven't actually paid for. So overall, this video should be really helpful to help you negotiate better on Fiverr, learn some tips to help you swing the conversation to go your way while still offering great value to your clients. So it should be really, really helpful. Before we get into the strategies, as always, make sure you're liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and if you haven't already, follow me on Twitter. I just created a Twitter account. I don't have a huge following there, but I'm going to start doing a lot of cool stuff there, so follow me on Twitter. Let's get into the video. All right, so the first strategy to help you negotiate better on Fiverr has to do before the negotiation even starts, before the buyer is asking you for a discount or before the buyer is asking you to do something above and beyond. What I mean by this is prepare for that negotiation by giving yourself a lot of ammunition. And how you do this is by asking a lot of questions. So right when you get a new buyer that's interested in your services and they reach out to you and they ask for something, whether it's they ask about how much you charge or if you can do something, or if they're asking for something a little bit outside the scope of your gig, before you just start answering all their questions and chasing the tennis balls they throw you in the form of questions, ask questions. By asking questions about everything that they might need from you and the situation they're in, it'll give you ammunition to better have this conversation and better hold a negotiation. So when a buyer messages you, pause. Why do they need your help? What do they need your help with? You know, ask questions like, how are they doing this before coming to Fiverr to hire someone like you? You know, how would they complete this task if they didn't hire someone like you? Like, what's their plan B? Have they used freelancers in the past? You know, what are they doing right now for this type of service? You know, ask them a bunch of questions. The more questions you ask, the better you're able to qualify this buyer, figure out whether or not they're actually, you know, a real viable buyer. And it also gives you more information that you can actually use in a negotiation should it get to that point. So strategy number one is to pause, slow things down, and ask a lot of questions. Every time you engage with a new buyer or prospect, it should be your priority to figure out and uncover as much information about why they're reaching out to you and what services they actually need help with. Collecting that information will be immensely valuable, both from a negotiation perspective and from the perspective of having the knowledge of what they need help with, so you can deliver the best work possible once they do place an order with you. So that's strategy number one. Ask a lot of questions and collect as much information as possible. All right, so the second negotiation strategy you can use, you can apply in situations where new buyers flat out ask you for a discount the first time they message you. So let's say you sell your services for $100. Buyer messages you and the first thing they say is, hey, can you do that for me for $50? Don't panic. You can turn this situation around, and this is how you're going to do it. So the first thing you do in a situation where all a buyer is asking for is a discount and you don't even know what they want you to do for them is to respond and say, hey, listen, happy to talk about how we might be able to work together. But first, can you take some time and explain to me what it is exactly that you need help with? Get them to be specific. Get them to explain everything they might want you to do. If they can't do that for you, then, you know, just move on. This is someone who's weirdly looking for discounts without actually having a need. But odds are, if they're looking for, you know, to hire a freelancer like yourself, they'll have a list of requirements. Get them to explain those requirements to you thoroughly. And this is going to help you do the second step of this strategy. The second step is the hardball approach. If what they're listing is a substantial amount of work and your gig is priced accurately and really offering a discount doesn't make sense for you, tell them that. Say, hey, listen, in order to do this, this, and this, and repeat the things that they told you that they want done, in order to do this, this, and this for you, it's gonna cost $100. That's how much I value my time, and that's how much it's gonna cost to deliver the high quality work that you're probably expecting from a freelancer like myself. Respond with that and see what they say. If they respond, they might respond in one of two ways. One way is they'll say, hey, I appreciate that, let's talk about it. Because a lot of the times I find buyers are really quick to ask for the discount, but a lot of people chicken out before, they actually win that discount. They'll ask and then they'll chicken out when a little pushback happens. So, if you respond this way, one option is they might just say, hey, yeah, cool, I appreciate that, let's work together. The second scenario in this example is they might say, hey, $100 is just too much, what can you do? So in this situation, now that you've already asked them to explain what they need help with, you can say, hey, listen, $100 is what it's gonna cost to get all of this done for you. But, if you can't afford $100, maybe we can strip down some of your requirements and we can make like a lighter order, right? Like an order where I'll do less work, I'll deliver less to you, and you can therefore pay less. By doing this, you're not devaluing your services, but you're telling them, hey, if you want to pay less, you're going to get less. This is the hardball approach because it really maintains the baseline for what you value your services at. And this is an approach I take pretty often. So the second approach for this type of scenario where the buyer flat out asks for a discount is a little bit more of a softball approach. Let's say they ask for a discount and the discount they're asking for isn't out of the realm of what you would actually accept to complete this level of work. You could say something like this: hey, listen, I'm really appreciative that you've reached out to me and you're interested in working with me. However, for what you're asking for, $50 just isn't going to cut it. My time is pretty valuable and I always want to make sure that I'm pricing my gigs at a price point where I know I'll be motivated to deliver the highest quality work. So while $50 isn't enough to get this done, I am willing to be flexible on my pricing. So can you maybe come back with an offer that's a little bit more in the realm or close to that $100 mark that I posted the gig at? Say that and leave it at that. With this softball approach, do not suggest a new price. By letting them know that $50 is too low, but you would be willing to negotiate, and telling them to come back at you with a new price, you're actually protecting yourself. Because let's say you come back with $70 and they're like, oh yeah, sure, but they would have actually paid you $80. You're kind of, you're cutting yourself short there. So respond to them with this, wait for them to respond back, and that way the ball's in their court, but the power is actually in your court. So let them respond, see what they respond with, and go from there. But it's important to let them respond. That gives you kind of a baseline for, what ballpark they're willing to negotiate in, and it'll probably leave you with an order that's more close to what you wanted it to be priced at versus the original offer of just $50. So this is the second strategy. Hope it's helpful. So this third Fiverr negotiation strategy has to do with situations where a new buyer messages you and the first thing they ask for is a discount in exchange for the promise that they'll bring you a lot of future work. So we all get these ones a lot, right? Hey, I'm so excited to work with you. If this goes well, I'll order $100 from you every week for the next year, but I really want a discount on this first order. You get these a lot, but as a seller, how are we going to ensure that this person's actually going to order from us down the road? And how do we know that they're just not saying this to us to get a discount on this one order and then they, go on their merry way and never order from us again? We actually don't know. We don't know if they're actually telling the truth. So I usually approach this in a couple of different ways, and here's the ways I approach it. You can try to do the same. The first thing I say to people who are asking for a discount for the promise of future work is I'll say something like this: thank you so much for your interest. I actually do offer volume discounts to my clients. The only stipulation is you need to place all of the orders at one time. So in my case, I do email writing. So let's say this person says, oh, if this goes well, I'll order 10 more emails from you, but can you do them at a discount? I say, sure, but you have to order all 11 emails from me and I'll give you the discounted rate. That way you're ensuring that they're getting locked into the price and they're not going to go run away with a discount on the first order and just kind of hustle to you. So this is kind of a hardball approach here. I say, yeah, sure, I do volume discounts, but you got to order them all at once. There's no situation where I'll just trust that we'll accumulate orders over time. I'll do volume discounts, but you need to order them all at once. That's the first way I approach this. So the second way to approach this is to work out some sort of a tiered discount model that they unlock different discount levels over time and over a period of ordering multiple times for you. So the first thing you need to do here is ask them, How often do you plan on ordering from me? Is it once a week? Is it twice a week? Is it once a month? Have them kind of explain what their plan is and how much volume they might plan to send your way. Once you get an idea of how many orders they might give you in the next 6 months or a year, work out different pricing tiers. Say, hey, listen, for the first 4 weeks, you're going to pay my list price. If you decide to continue ordering from me past that 4 weeks, the next 4 weeks will be at this discounted price. And the next 4 weeks after that will be at the next discounted price. This way, you're ensuring they're ordering from you, right? And you're promising them a discount. They just have to come through with their end of the bargain and actually order from you more over time. So with this strategy, you're not just giving them a discount up front and then hoping for the best. You're delivering a great quality work at your list price. And then if they order from you over time, you will give them a discount, just at a predetermined rate. That way there's transparency. They know that the longer they're a customer, they'll get discounts. And you know that as long as you keep delivering great work, you'll keep getting orders. It's a win-win, and I use this one a lot. And the third way to approach this type of buyer is to straight up say, hey, listen, I appreciate you reaching out, but in order to deliver the high quality of work that my clients have come to expect, this is the price. My time is valuable. I want to make sure that I'm always delivering the best work. And to do that, this is the price that it's going to cost. And just leave it at that. You'd be surprised. A lot of the times, this approach actually works pretty well. I've said this before, but there's something to be said about confident sellers. If you have this confidence and you have that thing about you where it's like, I want your business, but I don't need your business. It's kind of attractive to buyers, right? It's almost like sexy to them. I guess the moral with this approach is just never beg for the business. You can ask for it, you can negotiate, but if you take this approach, you're saying, hey, listen, I know what I'm good at. I know the value I bring. The price is the price. You let me know if you want to work with me. Otherwise, we can go on our merry ways. It's actually pretty effective. So give it a shot. Let me know what you think. All right, so this next strategy has to do with buyers that are trying to ask for things or negotiate after they place an order. Think about this as people who are asking you for more revisions than agreed upon, or for you to deliver work that wasn't originally agreed upon when placing the order. So this is how I negotiate in this situation. But before we get to negotiation, there's 2 things you need to make sure you do before you get to this point. The first is make sure your gig has FAQs filled out. Include an FAQ Q&A that says how many revisions you include per order, and another one that says what is a revision. Put some guardrails in place so that there's no ambiguity when someone places an order. If you define a revision as this and each order gets 1 revision, have that in your FAQ so there's no, he said, she said if they ever request more revisions than already agreed upon. The second thing is, assuming you get to this point and the person placed an order, the first step in this whole video was to ask a lot of questions. Make sure you asked a lot of questions before having them place the order, and bring those questions and bring a copy of the requirements questions with you. Have them on the screen when they start asking, for these revisions, and that's the ammo you're going to use to negotiate. So assuming you've done the prerequisites, you've created a gig FAQ, and when they placed the order, you asked a lot of questions and you had them fill out the gig requirements. When they start asking you for things that fall outside of the scope of your revision policy, or they're asking for more work than what was originally agreed upon, say this. Hey, thanks for sharing your concern. Can you please let me know, where I dropped the ball? Was something delivered that didn't align with what we agreed upon when you placed the order? Say that and see what they say. If what they respond with doesn't align with what they filled out in their requirements questions when placing the order, and don't align with the questions you asked them before they placed the order, and is really something that you're just hearing now for the first time, I hate to say it, but it's tough luck for the buyer. They can't expect us as sellers to deliver work that we didn't know we were supposed to deliver. And this is why you ask the questions and you have the revisions. So if it falls into this situation, you can say, hey, listen, my revision policy is crystal clear in my FAQ section, and what you're asking for doesn't align with what we agreed upon when you placed your order, right? So if you want to get this done, I'd be happy to do it for you, but it will incur additional costs because we priced this gig based on what you put in your requirements. This is extra work. And leave it at that. If they want the work done, they'll have to pay for it. If they don't, they'll move on. So I know a lot of you will have a little bit of anxiety around this type of stuff. A lot of people say, hey, Mike, I don't want to get a negative review. Listen. By doing the steps that I said you should do, have gig FAQs, make them fill out gig requirements, ask them a lot of questions, collect all the information you need to qualify the order, there really shouldn't be a reason for them to be upset, right? Like if you took all the steps to make sure you collected all the information that you need to complete the order, and they're coming at you saying, hey, I want extra, let's be reasonable. That wasn't agreed upon. So it's going to be difficult, I know, for a lot of you to do this, but you got to get into the habit of doing this. Believe it or not, a lot of my repeat clients were clients that originally asked me for a lot of revisions. I put my foot down and I let them know that it wasn't something we agreed upon and they'd have to pay more if they wanted more work done. It's uncomfortable. It's not going to feel natural, but it's important that you do this for two reasons. One, your time is valuable and you can't be wasting it doing a number of free revisions for buyers who are asking for things that they didn't originally pay for. That's number one. Number two, this is a business. This is your business and this is their business. You get what you pay for. If they're asking for something they didn't pay for, they need to pay for it. Plain and simple. So this one's a tough one, but you should really give it a shot. It's going to be really helpful. It's going to save you a lot of time, and it's going to ensure that you're not doing free work, which is the thing none of us should be doing. We shouldn't be working for free, so keep this one in mind. The second way you can approach this, and this is more of a softball approach, is let's say they ask for something that wasn't included in the gig requirements, it wasn't talked about, and it doesn't fall into your policy as outlined in your FAQ. But it's a small thing that you feel you can complete for them relatively easily. This is up to you, but you can decide to do this free of charge as a way of building good faith, getting a good 5-star rating, and really going above and beyond for your client. And the way you do this is by saying that you're doing this, and say something like this. Hey, listen, unfortunately, what you're asking for wasn't discussed when you placed the order. It wasn't what we agreed upon, and it doesn't align with my, Fiverr policy as outlined in my FAQ. However, I want to do good by you, and I want to deliver a really great quality of work. So I'm going to go ahead and do this free of charge as a courtesy. But I just wanted to let you know for future orders that this isn't something I do all the time. Give me a couple minutes or a couple days, whatever, and I'll get this delivered back to you per your revision request. If you say something like that, the buyer's going to feel like they're getting so much value from you. You're going above and beyond, you're giving them something for free, and you're being really nice about it. So that's the second way to do this. You'll end up doing the work with this approach, but if you're someone who's building up your 5-star ratings, this could be a really solid approach to ensuring you're ended up with a really happy buyer. All right. So those are all the negotiation strategies I have to share with you today. Some of these are more uncomfortable than others, but honestly, it's important to get into the habit of learning how to put your foot down, stand up for yourself, and protect your time. Protect the value and the price you value your time at. It's so important, and it's really, really key to growing a successful business on Fiverr, getting repeat buyers, increasing the amount you're able to make per order, and all that fun stuff. So I hope this video was really helpful. If you end up trying out these strategies, leave a comment and let me know how it went. Sometimes it's not going to go well, right? Like in the early days, it's uncomfortable. First time negotiating, you're not going to be smooth. You're not going to be slick. Don't worry about it. It takes practice, but make sure you are practicing these things. So until next time, cheers.